Welcome everyone to the LCS post-game lobby, our first one after our first semi-final this week. I'm joined by Upset. Amazing is joining us in just a second as well, and VODS is here. But first, Upset, what does it mean to you to make it to the finals after this long year with Schalke?
It just is indescribable, honestly. I'm super happy with how it all turned out in the summer split, especially after spring split. It was so frustrating and depressing how bad we were, I think, and how bad we played. And then we changed one player, and this man over here will come soon. Suddenly we're in the final, and I still can't really believe it. It will take some time, I think, but I'm insanely happy and thankful to my teammates and the coaching staff and our sports psychologist for putting in all the work. And yeah, I'm just really grateful and happy.
Well, you talk a lot about Amazing. I believe he's standing by. If you want to join us, Maurice, go ahead.
I can't guarantee that I will not cry.
It's okay. I mean, I think everyone can understand that this is a very emotional moment to you. Can you just tell us why exactly it is that with this achievement, it is hitting you so hard?
I mean, I don't know, like the last 2 years, 2.5 years, like I've played ever since Smithy and Sven left Origin, like were just shit for me, you know? Like I didn't find any happiness within the teams that I was in. Like it was not like anything that I felt like was brotherly love to a certain extent, where like it actually felt like teammates, you know? Like it felt like everyone was just backstabbing one another to a certain extent too. And there was nothing that like basically made the teams feel like home, you know? And I think now with Schalke, you know, like I said it like a couple of weeks ago, where if you really listen to Origin in the beginning, you know, like where everyone just tries to improve and really tries to work hard for one another, that this time around is completely like just something that I'm familiar with and I wanted to have like in the past 2 years and I didn't have. So I'm just really happy that I have a good team, like a team that actually like tries to improve and really tries hard for one another, and just the whole family behind it too.
Fantastic. Andre won Coach of the Split today.
That's
earlier.
right.
That is right, and he showed it today. Can you talk a bit about kind of his influence and the influence of, you mentioned the sports psychologist and everything around Schalke, which has kind of been there from the beginning, but how has this helped you in these most important moments until now?
I mean, I think Andre is really smurfing and pick and ban most of the time. We have like tanks top, and it's really a blessing. And he does good work in reviews too, and he tries to let the players figure out stuff by themselves in reviews, and he's like controlling how we talk to each other maybe and giving us points, and then he just helps us to understand how we want to play with each other, and that's the most important thing in the end, that the players know how to play with each other and not just the coach giving the structure maybe. He helps us a lot there, and our sports psychologist has been an absolute smurf, I think. He is super positive, and he always helps us if there's any conflicts. But he also helps us with like nutrition and food and vitamins and all this stuff. So this package all around was like really great to have, and it helped us a lot. Like we would never be here without them.
I hear a lot coming back of like positivity, teamwork, everyone willing to improve, everything together as a team. Maurice also alluded to it. How do you perceive that in the team? Do you feel like you're all just working towards that one goal, and that is what's making you so strong right now?
Yeah, I think in the spring split for sure we were super negative, and we were all really frustrated with the situation. And in summer split there was a big shift in mindset, I think. We still have like arguments, obviously, and sometimes we are negative, but we all think that we want to achieve a goal, and we all agree to this goal, and we all just work hard to achieve it. So there's much less like negative emotions and less less conflict, I would say.
Less conflict overall. I do want to turn it to this series specifically. Also, in combination, as what you said, Amazing how much this means to you, but make no mistake, you were incredible today, and I think that has come as a surprise to a lot of people. Can you tell me a bit about this week, because you did look like a different jungler?
I mean, in a lot of ways, like sometimes I feel like that I have to overhelp my team to a certain extent to become a better macro team, you know, and I think especially for quarters I'm kind of scared that like would actually lose simply because of worse macro against Splice, and I think this week hasn't been the case. Like I knew that I was having an individual matchup against Kickers, and that he has been hyped and he would invade, he would do this and that. You know, I heard it from all the sides that like whatever he did was right. You know, whatever Amazing did like is questionable. You know, these kind of things, even on broadcast partially. You know, that like we have this like Kickers fetish. You know, he's a really good player. You know, but like this is like the fourth time that like I'm in playoffs. You know, like, and I actually like I will out jungle whoever's in front of me, unless this team is a lot better than us. You know, and that's that wasn't the case with Vitality.
So you think the power of Kikis got negated by the fact that Schalke 04 is just a much stronger team than Vitality?
I think so. Honestly, like I think it's like the way that Shizuku's kind of like not. I don't want to say exposed because obviously I don't want to like trash talk any kind of loser. But I think in a lot of ways Vitality was exposed, and they said that we showed off all our cards. But I think the way we played today showed the word that like we figured them out.
I think that's a huge thing. VODS, the thing that we were most taken aback by, actually, I'm just going to look at this one more time. Just in general, the joy of your team and everything, and knowing how big of an achievement this is. And just to tag back onto the game, VODS, the biggest surprise to me in this team was also that, you know, it just was the way Vitality played. They were aggressive early. You guys were not aggressive early. You guys then fumbled sometimes in the mid game because it didn't work. And it was a different team, and I think to the coaching staff and just to a team to make that change or to make that happen at an important moment like a semifinal is huge.
So coming into this week, Deficio and I talked a lot about how would both teams win, right? And we ultimately decided that the biggest factor was going to be how much Amazing expands his champion pool, and if he continues to just be a Sejuani one-trick, or if Kikis will continue to pick his style, or if he'll diversify, right? And we thought that the changes that we see, in particular in these two players, will be really important, because the reality is, what Amazing's saying is right. Vitality showed today that they are quite a linear team, and teams will prepare for that. And for Schalke, in the quarterfinals, I think they had big weaknesses that could have been exploited. So both teams needed to make a change coming into the semifinal, and to me, it was Schalke that made the bigger changes and made the greater adaptation that better prepared them for this best of 5.
How much has Schalke moved up in your mind as the guys who could possibly take the title?
So I have been a bit of a believer. Coming into, I was doubtful against Splice, I think, but I think the great thing about Schalke is, to me, they've proved how well they can come in prepared. I think the infrastructure that both players have talked a lot about is something that needs to have more respect, because it's something that can be taken for granted. As analysts, we don't get to see its impact, and we can only hear about it and see the kind of after effects in game. But it's difficult to understand how much value it has. And now in this kind of environment where they can prepare for a single team, and with the veteran roster that they have, along with some young upstart players, I think that they are definitely in contention for that final spot, but they have two very difficult potential
opponents. That is true. Before we get to that upset, we've been following you so intensely for this year. All the hype in the beginning of the year, as you said, it was really tough. It just wasn't working. Do you think you've taken some important steps in the last couple of weeks in your own development? It seems like today you started as confident as you ended in the quarterfinals. It felt like for you, it was easier to get in your groove on the Rift.
Yeah, I think I've definitely become more confident on stage, maybe. Or at least I'm more focused, I feel. Confidence wasn't really an issue. Sometimes I would just lose focus and do really weird mistakes. But right now I feel when I play on stage that I'm very much in the moment and can really focus on what I want to do and what the enemy can do. And I think this split was quite good for me. I still had like a few bad games which I don't really want to happen, where I should have played better and stuff, but I'm quite happy with how the split went for me personally, and obviously with the team as well. We're in the finals, so
All-Pro
it's really great
as well.
Oh yeah, I'm in the All-Pro team, so
congratulations on that as well. Feels good, man. Just to wrap up this series, I do want to take a look at a final replay, because in the 4th game, it did get a bit dicey for you guys at the end of the game. We thought Vitality might bring it back. Maurice, can you talk me through what happened?
I mean, I got caught a couple of times, you know, and our team wasn't quite prepared for the amount of like catch that they have in general. But we knew if we just like play frontline, backline, and we catch them out a bit, you know, and bait out a couple of CDs, that this would be easy to play, you know. And then we finally did it, and Nash, they were forced into it, and we acted in the most perfect manner possible, you know.
Great sound effects.
I think Nukeduck was insane.
He was good
series.
today.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nuke was really smurfing.
I think
I was so happy.
He played extremely, because there was some criticism put towards him in the quarterfinals, and it was largely just the upset show. We talked a lot about his Kai'Sa and the late game fights and how well he did. But this week, one of the things we wanted to see was Nukeduck stepping up and living up to the expectations that are put upon him, and he really, really did. He played Irelia, LeBlanc, and I forget his game 1 champion, but
Cassiopeia really carrying a
Cassio.
lot.
Also
Oh yeah,
great.
Cassio.
Yeah.
And
Damage, yeah.
it like for those that have followed Nukeduck for a long time, Cassio and LeBlanc were some of his OG champs, and you kind of got to see that he's still able to play some of his old.
Oh,
favorites.
definitely. We talked a lot about the Year of the Duck and all that, but in statistics, it doesn't always show. Today, it did show, and it's just kind of the influence that a player like that has on the map. I do want to move on to Player of the Series. I am delighted to announce that the Player of the Series is amazing with 41% of the votes, because very often it goes to the big then carries, the 80 carries or the mids or whatever, but this is awesome. Maurice, you happy with that?
Had to do it, yeah.
Had to do it to him. And you know we can't continue, Maurice, before we talk one more time about the rivalry in the jungle. The fact that you not only do so great today, but then you crown yourself Player of the Series.
I mean, I don't think there's that much of rivalry between me and Kikis, you know? Like, this guy he's a stand-up guy. I've played with him, like, he obviously brought a change to Vitality. It was a positive one because he felt like he could unite the team. So I have like a lot of respect for him. I knew that I could out-jungle him if I actually put the practice into it and put the work into it. And I think it showed. But no, I have nothing bad to say about Kikis. I think this guy is not just an insane player, but also like a great human being. You know,
Yeah.
that you don't come across that often.
Yeah, gracious in victory and in defeat. Amazing. In general, if we button up the story for Vitality, they fall in the semifinals again, as what happened in spring. Do you think they fell to the same problems they did in spring?
In some ways, yeah. I think that, we talked a little bit about it earlier. I do still think that they're a little linear in their playstyle. I like the diversity that they do bring. Like, the number of flex picks they have can really throw off a lot of teams, but with good preparation, I feel that it can be dealt with. And I wonder how well they deal with pressure. It's difficult to know in terms of how the communication goes and what happens when they don't get the same leads that they often get. But moving into third place, they're still actually in contention for the second seed spot at Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though Schalke did beat Vitality, if Fnatic win and Vitality beat Misfits and secure third, then Vitality actually take the second place seed.
Yeah,
So-
looking forward, that is very exciting because it matters so much for each team. If you play third place, you still want to get as many points as possible to qualify or have a better seeding in the gauntlet. So it's definitely on. When you win a game like this and you know you're going to the final, how much is Worlds in the back of your mind and that kind of battle that's also going on?
I mean, we're rooting for whoever has to face. I mean, honestly, we root for Fnatic. Like, we don't even have to root for anyone tomorrow. Like, because if Misfits beat Fnatic, we have to just beat Misfits in the finals. I think it's possible. And if Fnatic wins tomorrow, then that means Misfits has to beat Vitality for us. And
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Like, I'm pretty happy with the situation we're in. Like, I don't want to.
Sweating quite a lot actually, playing Fnatic in finals. That would be quite rough, I think.
I mean,
but
yeah, they're
if
basically.
we prepare well, we can win.
Well, let's
But-
talk a bit about that. Tomorrow, Fnatic face off against Misfits, and then whoever wins that will be your opponent in your first final ever and your second EULCS final. Third.
Third.
Oh yes, we had what was it? A graphic that said Chachi 1 final, 0 wins, and then you was on 3. And
I had 2 nice losses and it was pretty nice.
2 nice losses. So this is your chance to do it. So let's take a look at the bracket and how it plays out. VODS, can you tell me, out of everything that happened, what was the craziest thing or the most expected thing that happened so
I mean,
far?
after predicting G2 3-0, I think
Okay, I was not expecting Misfits to bounce back. I thought they would slump. And it's funny because coming into the week, I was like, we should prepare a segment where Misfits, every time you count them out, they always end up surprising.
That wasn't just your idea.
Yeah, but
Don't take the
we
credit.
pitched this segment, right?
Yeah,
and then we ended up running it.
Yeah.
Probably the Fisher.
Yeah, and it was...
It wasn't.
and it ended up being Misfits ended up surprising,
Yeah.
right? And the reality was they get themselves the 3-0, and yeah, that to me was the biggest surprise. Now, I have predicted Misfits to beat Fnatic. Again, this is one that that's had like a lot of thought and discussion around
All
it.
right, good.
rough one.
Because we kind of laughed at you today that you said
And you
that
saw lots of
Schalke
happening
was
at him
gonna
today.
win. But you were right.
I mean, honestly, like, I think Misfits is a lot similar to Vitality, that they have a singular playstyle. And I think Fnatic can figure that out if they watch VODs, So I expect, if Fnatic drops the game, I'll be surprised, actually.
All right.
But I think Misfits definitely have a chance. I think if they get to play to their strengths around bot lane and get like really good matchups and snowball, they can win. But it feels like Fnatic is on another level from scrimming. But I hope Misfits wins for Maxlaw.
I am messing up
my
production
homies.
here a little bit, but I would like to talk about Fnatic and Misfits a bit more now since we've started it.
Okay.
You guys didn't see this because you guys were playing, but they announced that they'd be running Bwipo in the top lane and Reckless in the bottom lane, which means that we also get Reckless versus Hansama. What's your first reaction to that they're starting in game one with the Bwipo Reckless roster?
I mean, they need a more safe bot lane, I think, against Misfits, where they understand like a lot more matchups. And I think Bwipo is not as well versed in the AD carry matchups, and neither is Soa. So I expect like Reckless playing doesn't surprise me. Bwipo playing instead of Soa's may surprise me a bit, but I
Yeah.
guess they have a read on it where they just feel like that they have figured Alfari out, and I think that Bwipo is the better fit into him.
Would your gut be, you know, you've played with Soa so much, would your gut be just put him on the first game because he has so much experience?
I think it's fine if Source watches for one game because he can take so much more in than I think Bwipo can in the end. Where if he sees certain tendencies, able to punish it, and I think that's why they may actually not start him tomorrow.
Upset, what do you think about Reckless being back now and now Fnatic actually starting him in that best of 5 up versus Hansama?
It makes a lot of sense to me because Fnatic's mid jungle, I think, are super good and will probably be a lot better than Misfits. So you basically just want like a consistent bot lane, and Reckless is the king of consistency. Like he doesn't really int much and he can just farm and go even. So it seems like a smart decision for them, and yeah, it makes sense to me.
Are there any doubts that, you know, he'll need some time to adjust or whatnot since he's only played a handful of games in the last couple of weeks, or is that experience just, it's a given that he's going to perform?
It would surprise me if he like severely underperforms because he didn't play for a bit. I think with his experience and the amount of big games he has been in, he should be able to play to his level.
If we talk about, we'll touch on Misfits in a bit, about possible opponents that you guys can face in the final in Fnatic, how difficult or how more difficult is it to think about that matchup knowing that they can change their roster in between games and just throw different things at you? Amazing.
I'm not sure if it actually changes that much. Like, I mean, obviously from Scream them can I know about the champion puts too, but I cannot obviously say it on the
Yeah.
cast. But I think like what I understand for them is just like it's just a bit of a change of styles between the members, you know. And I think with Reckless they seem a lot more consistent, so they actually like, perform on a higher average level than they do with the other two members like starting. So it doesn't it would like it actually is better for us, I think, if Reckless is not starting. Because I think the way that they play the map is a lot better with Reckless than with the rest of the members.
But Upset, you'd like to play versus
And he wants to play against Reckless too,
if
no?
they did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to play versus Reckless in the final. I don't really care. Like they play so differently, so you have to prepare for two different styles. So I think to have this possibility is obviously big, but I kind of agree with Maurice that they just seem better as a team with Reckless. So if they put in Bwipo, it's a different style, but it's probably just worse at this point.
Yeah.
Especially with the current patch, I feel ADs are the most powerful. So yeah, it will probably be Reckless.
Makes a lot of sense. Then up versus Hansama, what do you make of that matchup, Upset?
Reckless vs Hans?
Yeah.
I think Hans is really good in lane, especially on his comfort champs like Kalista Draven. He can really take over a game if he gets the lead in bot. But on other champs, I think Reckless will have the upper hand if it goes more onto scaling, like Silver Tristana matchups and stuff like this, if it comes back. So they have two different styles. I think Hans is really good at the aggressive style and Reckless is really good at the scaling style. So we will have to see in pick ban, I guess, who will win out.
What it will be. VODS, how much does this come down to? Hansama / Alfari versus Caps and Roxa? Or how do you see this matchup?
One of the reasons why Misfits was able to pretty confidently beat G2 is because G2 couldn't play through bot. That issue obviously doesn't exist with Fnatic. Throughout the entire regular season, they've often played through caps rather than through bot lane. We've even seen Hylissang spend more time mid lane than he does with his bot lane, and they just try and play through this mid style. Now, I don't think that style is as effective against Misfits, just because of recent performances from Senkux as he plays ultra defensively, and he kind of plays this style of, you can't kill me, so waste your resources if you want. And I think Fnatic can shift a style of playing towards bot. Now, the difference is, I think that Misfits are better at playing through bot than Fnatic are because of the difference in experience throughout the regular season. So I think a large part of it will come down to the draft. But in terms of consistency, I think Alfari is more consistent than Bwipo is in the top lane in terms of 1v1. And I also think that the 3v3, in terms of being able to play through bot and find lanes through bot, Misfits have the advantage.
Amazing.
Okay. Like, and I'm just taking in, you know.
You're allowed to disagree, that's fine.
Like, I mean, you know, like if Fnatic somehow is like lost the internet for a week, like, and don't watch VODs of like Misfits against G2, I think then this whole style of playing through bottom will actually work for Misfits. But I think if Fnatic actually like studied them a bit, which I'm pretty sure they have, I think them just playing on caps into Reckless is just such a safe play for them because they're both talented players, and I think there's no way that they're going to be outcarried by Hans and Senkux.
So what I will say is, coming into this week, everyone assumed that Vitality would smash Schalke in the early game, and based on their previous performances, that they wouldn't be able to handle the kind of early game pressure the kickers.
I mean, can you blame us?
And then, yeah, but then within a week, they changed their style, they improved and adapt because they have good infrastructure and they're good at planning. Last year, when Misfits shut down Fnatic, it was thanks to good preparation. A part of it was down to overconfidence.
But now they're not underdogs.
There's a huge difference right now between Fnatic back then and Fnatic now. Fnatic back then was legitimately, like, honestly, even with Mysterious Monks, I feel like I could beat them, you know? Whereas, like, this Fnatic, if I the 4 monkeys with me, you know, I would get trashed in 20 minutes.
That's fine, but I still think that too many people are underestimating the amount of prep that Misfits do. And even if Fnatic are the favorites, which I agree with, I still think that it will be a 3-2 game. Because I think it will be close, and I think people need to show a little bit more respect towards the prep the Misfits bring. And I don't think it'll be the same Misfits that we saw last week.
Yeah, I think for sure we shouldn't take too much away from Misfits. Like, their strengths are really good, and if they actually get to play with them in some games, they can probably win, for sure.
And maybe the issue is here that nobody's underestimating Misfits after what they did versus G2. Is just that people have very high opinions of Fnatic and of the individual players on that team. I also think Misfits showed they can do it all, right? They demolished G2 in like 2 hours. It was wonderful to see from their side. So Fnatic has a lot to work with, which could skew it in their favor. But as said, who knows? If Misfits play the same as they did versus G2, we could be in for a dicey game. But since we don't really know, we asked Twitter, and we actually asked the people at home who they think will win the summer split. The first answer will surprise many. At Viaris Deneva tweeted, Fnatic will win the ELCS because they have to prove that a 6-man roster actually works. Also, they must win because Bwipo's incredible debut this year has to continue. We talked a bit about the 6-man roster already, but I do like that point about Bwipo. This guy, man, I think tied with Amazing, that's like the craziest stories. You went from, you know, what, NA to Caster in the EU LCS to the finals, which I have to say is probably one of the most impressive career moves ever.
Thank you.
After us
If Amazing can do it, I can do it. But
Let's go. Next split.
But I think you're right in terms of the story for Bwipo, because you think that he subbed in for Soaz, came into a playoffs where everyone's like, ugh, and then he actually won it in a 3-0 fashion against the reigning champions G2. He then went to MSI, had a very solid performance. I believe he even I believe he smashed Khan.
Yes.
I believe that did happen.
That did happen.
And then he played bot lane.
Yeah. It's crazy. The guy's crazy. I really hope he has a good match tomorrow, and we'll see what will happen. The second tweet is from @LeonardJaros. He has faith in upset and Schalke, asking, is upset insane? Yes or yes? The vote is rigged, but I think we can all say yes. Cool.
I'm going with upset is insane. Yeah.
Upset is insane.
All pro AD carry. We gotta keep saying
it.
I mean, the contention wasn't quite there, you know. There was the competition.
I mean, when Reckless is still an option, it's always a big achievement to win.
I
guess. You guys got to vote as well, right? What did you guys vote for top 3 for all pro AD carry? Because you can't vote for yourself, as far as I know.
Yes.
Bwipo, Hans, Attila, I think.
Bwipo and Attila. Okay, so Hans. It was difficult because Hans, if you look at the whole year, definitely deserves a spot in that top 3, but it was because that Hans Sama. But the second half of the split was so bad for Misfits. I love that you put Attila and Bwipo because those are, to me, 2 of the players who had embraced both metas kind of the best. Well, Bwipo actually only one meta. But Attila, I think, deserves an honorable mention. Upset, you just beat him. You have a long-standing rivalry with him. Do you think he's going to bounce back in a gauntlet and in the 3rd place match?
Yeah, I hope it. I want him to recover and come back stronger for the next time we play.
I think we can all see that the Vitality today was kind of a shadow of the Vitality we've seen.
Oh.
They were still pretty good.
Or it was exactly what was there all the time. Amazing.
Bit of both.
A bit of both. Just to wrap this up in terms of EU LCS, just a final thought. You guys are going to Madrid. You're going to play in the Palacio Vista Alegre. Upset for you, it's the first time in an EU LCS final in front of all that crowd. You obviously have a bit of experience in front of bigger crowds as well, but what does it mean to you to be able to show what you have on the big stage?
I mean, it's amazing, honestly, because before the split, I would have never thought that I thought we could reach like semi-finals and then go to the bigger stage, but playing in the big stage on finals will be a great experience, and I'm so excited for it. Yeah.
Amazing. Same question. How are you looking forward to kind of being in front of that crowd and playing your heart out?
I mean, I don't know. I just love LAN events. You know, like I wish we had more of them, because every time like I'm in front of a crowd, like just see people cheering, even if it's for the enemy team, because if it's Fnatic, you know, it's probably gonna happen. You know, I don't know. It's just such a good feeling to just like have people come to watch you, especially in that magnitude. You know, if it's 8, I don't know how many people are gonna fit in there. No, but
More than 10K, I guess. Yeah.
every final I've played so far, especially in the EU, actually also the NA final has been like, it was just crazy. And I think that is just the best feeling to have, like to have people like lift you up by just cheering for you.
Yeah, it's going to be great. On a happier note, it seems that you're going from a bit of the villain, Maurice, to like, you know, you got voted player of the series. It seems like the tides are turning.
I mean, I don't think that did I make myself a villain?
Well, you said you didn't like Vitality, and then we
Also,
replayed that
when
a
you
couple
were
of
a
times.
caster, you said, yeah, if I was playing right now, definitely top 5 jungler in
Yeah.
the EU LCS.
And we were all like roll eyes simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, just like you just gotta listen, you know. I know what I'm talking about.
You love to generate conversation, Maurice.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good attribute, but it must feel so damn good when you do win, so congratulations on
Thank you.
that. We do have some more League of Legends coming up. Legends, yes?
Wait,
League of
that's wrong.
Legends.
That's wrong, though, no? Oh wait, no, it's right.
No,
Never mind.
no, it's
Academy
NLCS
final.
Academy.
Oh god, that's obviously more important.
Cloud9 and CLG in the NLCS Academy final at midnight. Let's see.
Academy.
2 hours. If you missed something from Schalke vs Vitality, you could watch it again right now and then watch NAL's Academy, or you can watch the rebroadcast after the last game is played in LA. And then tomorrow, it is time to decide Schalke's opponents. Next Sunday, Fnatic and Misfits face off in our second semifinal. Again, I get a whoop. I'll just do it. Whoop, whoop. That's really great. All right. Congratulations, guys. Thank you so much. Lean into the cringe. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Always.
Good prediction.
Locks up Vitality, and Vitality are stunned by Schalke. It's up to 11, not over, not over! Oh my god! That was incredible! And Schalke are striking first in their semi-final, taking Vitality down. And it is Newtuck trying to find Jizuke. Ignite is available to him if he can get in range. Looking for one more target. Oh, man! Who will the target be? It looks to be Jack Jorvay. Oh, that great. Actually, no, he's holding on to a cooldown just for that. Here comes Vizichachi with the equalizer. Oh, Chachi! But look at the damage from Vizichachi. It has been an obliteration of Vitality. And Schalke no fear are 2-0 up. He's low on mana, but he's simply able to turn. Duck is trying to get some damage, but look at Upset. He's going low. He's being bested down. Kick is running for his life. He goes down. That's a triple kill for Attila. He's looking for more. Vizichachi is potentially the quadra kill. Go. That's next.
You're following me.
No way. And it was not a throw. Vitality, they bounce back to win game 3. Jizuke's the first to fall. Now Jackton's low. Amazing's looking to get another. Here comes Upset. He's going to get the first kill. Actually secured by Newtuck. But they're not going to find anybody just yet.
Oh, they got one now.
Oh, that's a kill from Upset, and that's a double kill. It's a trade back, 1-for-1. All of a sudden, are trying to wreck Vitality. The Guardian Angel comes back up, and for the first time ever. Schalke 04 are in the finals.